Ever wonder how life survives in the toughest spots? Places where most things would just give up. Today, we're diving into some cutting-edge research on microorganisms that laugh in the face of aluminum toxicity.
Really puts a new spin on what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, doesn't it?
It really does. I mean, we're talking about soil so acidic, it's basically toxic. You'd think nothing could survive there, right?
You'd think so.
But this research from the Chinese Academy of Sciences shows that's not the case. Not only do some microbes survive in these conditions, but they actually thrive.
And what's really impressive is the technology they're using to find and study these aluminum-tolerant microbes.
Oh yeah, we're talking lasers. And AI. It's like something out of a sci-fi movie. This new research was published just a few days ago on November 26, 2024, and it's titled, New AI Technology Reveals the Secrets of Aluminum-Tolerant Microorganisms. So before we get into the specifics, can you give us a little background on just how complex these microbial communities are?
Absolutely. So think of microbiomes as like incredibly complex ecosystems with countless interactions happening constantly, like a bustling city, but on a microscopic scale.
And with traditional ways of studying these microbiomes, we were missing a lot of the action, right?
Exactly. It was like trying to understand a rainforest by looking at a single leaf. You get a snapshot, sure, but you miss the big picture, those dynamic interactions and adaptations.
So what were some of the specific limitations of those traditional methods? What made them fall short?
Well, they were often slow, manual, and sometimes even disruptive to the natural behavior of the microbes. Imagine trying to study a beehive by, taking it apart piece by piece. You'd never truly capture how that colony works, would you?
You'd end up with all of angry bees, too, I'd imagine. That makes perfect sense, though. So how does this new technology, AI-RACS, address those limitations? What makes it different?
AI-RACS, which stands for Artificial Intelligence-Assisted Raman-Activated Cell Sorting, is a powerful combo of three technologies: optical tweezers, single-cell Raman spectroscopy, and artificial intelligence.
Whoa, that's a mouthful. Break that down for me. What's so special about each of those components?
Okay, so first up, optical tweezers. They use lasers to manipulate microscopic objects.
Lasers. I knew there had to be lasers involved somewhere.
It's almost like a microscopic tractor beam. You can isolate individual cells without harming them.
That's incredible. What are the challenges involved in manipulating objects at such a small scale, though?
It requires insane precision and control. Imagine trying to thread a needle with a thread, like thinner than a human hair, while riding a roller coaster. But optical tweezers let us capture and hold those individual cells so we can study them in detail.
That sounds incredibly difficult. What about Raman spectroscopy? What role does that play?
So Raman spectroscopy analyzes how light interacts with a cell to identify its unique chemical fingerprint. Think of it like a super high-tech barcode scanner. It tells us exactly what molecules are present within a cell.
So we've got a microscopic tractor beam and a molecular barcode scanner. That's already pretty impressive. Where does the AI come in?
The AI, that's the brains of the operation. It sifts through the mountains of data generated by the optical tweezers and Raman spectroscopy to guide the whole process. It identifies and sorts the cells with specific traits that researchers are interested in, like in this case, the ability to tolerate aluminum.
This is where it starts to feel like we're stepping into a whole new world. You don't often think about finding life in places that are basically toxic wastelands. Why focus on aluminum-tolerant microbes specifically? What makes them so interesting?
Well, acidic soil is a major environmental challenge, and that high aluminum content makes it really hard for most plants and organisms to survive. But some microbes have evolved not just to tolerate, but to thrive in these aluminum-rich environments. And that's what makes them so fascinating to researchers. They're like the ultimate survivors.
Like finding life in the most extreme environments on Earth, sort of like those deep-sea hydrothermal vents, right?
Exactly. These aluminum-tolerant microbes might hold the key to understanding how life adapts to extreme conditions. And that knowledge could have huge implications for lots of different fields.
This AI-RACS system seems so powerful. How does it compare to those older methods for studying microbes? It must be a big improvement, right?
It's like night and day, honestly. Traditional methods were slow, manual, and they often missed those rare or unique microbes. AI-RACS can analyze and sort thousands, even millions of cells super fast and automatically. So scientists can now study microbiomes with incredible detail, discovering those hidden gems that might have been overlooked before. It's like going from a magnifying glass to a high-powered telescope.
Okay, so we've got this incredibly powerful tool for finding these aluminum-tolerant microbes. What kind of microbes did they actually find using AI-RACS? Any surprises?
Some of the microbes they found were familiar faces like Burkholderia species and Rhodonobacter species. But what was really interesting was they found an aluminum-tolerant Staphylococcus aureus strain.
Wait, Staphylococcus aureus? Isn't that usually associated with infections?
You're right, some strains of Staphylococcus aureus can cause infections, but the microbial world is incredibly diverse. And this particular strain highlights that even microbes we typically associate with negative things can have surprising adaptations and maybe even benefits.
It seems like we're not just talking about microbes that can survive in these harsh conditions, they're actually thriving. What does that tell us about how good this AI RCS system is compared to those traditional methods?
The researchers actually compared how active the aluminum-tolerant strains found using AI RECS were to those found using traditional methods, and it turns out that the AI RECS strains showed way higher metabolic activity.
So it's not just finding microbes that can tolerate aluminum, it's finding the ones that are best at it.
Exactly. It's like finding Olympic-level athletes in the microbial world. And this is where things get really exciting, because now we can start to think about how we can use these microbes.
This is what I love about this kind of research. It's not just about understanding the science, it's about how we can apply that knowledge to solve real-world problems. What are some of the potential applications of these aluminum-tolerant microbes?
Well, there are lots of possibilities. Everything from resource recovery to environmental management and even industrial biotechnology.
Okay, let's start with resource recovery. How could these microbes help us access valuable resources?
Imagine using these microbes to extract valuable metals from ores that are low grade or even from industrial waste.
So instead of traditional mining, which we know can be really bad for the environment, we could use microbes to get those resources in a more sustainable way.
Exactly. It's called biomining, harnessing the power of nature.
I love that. What about environmental management? You mentioned these microbes could help with that too, right?
Absolutely. Think about all the contaminated soil we have all over the world, polluted with heavy metals and other toxins. These aluminum-tolerant microbes could be used for bioremediation, basically cleaning up those polluted environments.
Wow, so we could use them to remove those pollutants and make the soil healthy again.
That's the idea. And it's a much more sustainable and environmentally friendly approach than what we do now, like digging up the soil and treating it with chemicals.
Okay, so we've got resource recovery, we've got environmental cleanup. What about industrial biotechnology? How could these microbes be useful in industrial processes?
Well, imagine using these microbes in bioreactors to produce things like biofuels or biomaterials. These microbes are really tough, so they're perfect for handling the harsh conditions you often find in industrial settings.
They're like little microbial factories churning out useful products for us. That's so cool.
It really is. And we're just scratching the surface of what's possible. As we keep exploring the diversity of the microbial world, we're bound to find even more microbes with amazing capabilities that we can use to benefit both humanity and the planet.
It's incredible to think that these tiny organisms living in some of the most extreme environments on Earth could hold the keys to solving some of our biggest challenges.
It just shows how much we still have to learn from the natural world. These microbes have been evolving for millions of years, developing all sorts of amazing strategies for survival that we're only just beginning to understand.
It really makes you think, all this incredible potential packed into these tiny little microbes.
It's mind-blowing when you really think about it. We often overlook the smallest things, but they can have the biggest impact.
And with AI RACS, we're finally able to really see them, see all that potential in such detail. It's like a whole new world has opened up.
It really has. AI RACS is changing the game, allowing us to study these microbes in ways we could only dream of before. We can find and isolate microbes with very specific characteristics, opening up all sorts of possibilities for research and application.
Speaking of applications, we've talked about resource recovery, environmental cleanup, and even industrial biotechnology. Out of those, what do you think is the most promising application? What are you most excited about?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
All of those applications have the potential to make a real difference. But if I had to pick one, I'd say the bioremediation aspect is particularly exciting. Imagine cleaning up contaminated areas that were basically written off as too toxic or too expensive to deal with. That could have a huge positive impact on people and the environment.
Yeah, it's like we've discovered this army of microscopic cleaners able to go in and restore balance to these damaged places.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it.
Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive expert speaker. We've learned so much about these aluminum-tolerant microbes, from the challenges of studying them to the groundbreaking technology that's being used to uncover their secrets, and of course, the incredible potential they hold for solving some of our biggest challenges.
It's been a great discussion, and it's clear that the future of microbiology is full of potential. With tools like AI RACS, who knows what other amazing discoveries are waiting to be made?
And what's so inspiring is that it all started with a simple question. How does life survive in the toughest spots? It's a reminder that curiosity and a desire to understand the world around us can lead to incredible breakthroughs.
Absolutely. The natural world is full of wonders just waiting to be discovered. And sometimes the smallest things can hold the biggest solutions.
Thank you so much for joining us on this journey, expert speaker. It's been a pleasure learning from you.
The pleasure was all mine.
And to you listening, we hope this deep dive has sparked your own curiosity about the hidden world of microbes and the incredible potential they hold. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and never underestimate the power of the unseen world. Until next time.